Welcome back. The Black Consciousness Movement is mourning the passing of the liberation icon and Black consciousness stalwart Ntate Kenneth Hlako Rachidi. He passed away peacefully at his home on Sunday early this week. Rachidi was a leader of the Black People Convention. He joined the Black Consciousness Movement during his student days. Because of his involvement in the struggle, Rachidi was constantly harassed by the apartheid regime police. He was detained on numerous occasions by the apartheid regime. Over the years, he served the Black Consciousness Movement in a number of capacities, and his various roles he served with, among others, Steve Bantu Biko, as well as Pani Pitana, Ranwezi, Nengwe Kulu, Tenjiwe Mtinso, Sats Cooper, Nikiwe Machoba, Mohapi, Mutlari Pule, amongst others. And we will be speaking in just a moment to one of Rachidi's most iconic moments. That was the moving eulogy that he delivered at the funeral of his friend and comrade Steve Biko on the 25th of September 1977. Well, to know more about Ntate Rachidi, who he was and the role that he played in our liberation struggle and communities as well, we're joined by the family spokesperson, Mpho Rachidi. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for speaking to us. As I mentioned there, one of the well-known iconic pictures of Ntate Rachidi was at Steve Biko's funeral in 1977 in Ginsburg, outside of King Williamstown. He delivered the eulogy. What do you know about that day, or what do you hear told of it?
So firstly, good evening. I think it's a real pleasure to be on the show, and I suppose a privilege, to share the story of my father. I smile because you refer to me as a spokesperson. No one has ever referred to me.
I do apologize. That's what I was told, but I appreciate your clarification on the ears.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, so I was literally a toddler. So I was very young at the time. So very little recollection, to be honest. I think my recollections were formed, if you like, as one was growing up and as one started to really understand and appreciate the role that my father was playing. And I think, they were very pointers to, so the man that he was and the role that he was playing in the Black community at the time, so the meetings, the media, etc., etc. So very little recollection of the day, to be honest. But I think, so through stories, through reading, through engaging with him in particular, so one got to understand what transpired during that time, rather.
And I'm asking of your recollections, as you say, not necessarily of the day, but what you've been told. And I'm trying to understand what living under, and sometimes it's a big thing to live up to, listening to people tell you about your father, your relative, your friend, as this person who occupied this large space in the liberation struggle movement. He was the president of the Black People's Convention as well. How did that shape how you saw him at the time, and as you later grew up and started to understand a lot of these issues?
So, I think the honest truth is, we lived with my father, and by this I mean with his fame, one, notoriety, secondly, but I think more importantly, he was a big personality at the time, So it is, I suppose, difficult to live with under the shade, if you like, of a larger than life father. But he made it clear that this was his path. He was playing his role, and we needed to find our own path and play our role in our own way. So he never ever exerted any form of pressure whatsoever for us to be, to be as he was. He's always taught us to be our own people, if you like, your own man, your own man. So absolutely zero pressure, to be honest. But having said that, though, so you couldn't help but admire, so the respect the dignity with which he carried himself. So the sense of duty that he,
in defiance against the system, I believe that he literally challenged the regime to detain him if they thought those that he had been leading were wrong, because he was their leader. That streak, did it continue up until the latter years? And I'm wondering what he is then thinking of the, the transformation agenda, the democratic process as he's seeing it unfold, the fight for that black consciousness. He was considered one of the intellectual giants that brought back a black consciousness to our shores, to our homes.
Yeah. So I think it's... we had a lot of conversations about the state of our democracy, and I think I really do need to clarify one thing. I think there's a huge difference between politics and activism. So my father was never a politician. He never was interested actually in politics. My father was a believer of the liberation of his people, and I'm talking the black people in particular. So from that point of view, I mean, and he stood for what is right, and that is what he imparted. In everything that he did, it was about my people, it was about justice, it was about freedom. So yes, he did stand up to the regime. But as we all know, so we are living under very challenging circumstances in South Africa right now with the transformation agenda, as you call it. And I mean, so he had his concerns like most of his peers have. And I mean, and I think I would leave it at that. I mean, I wouldn't want to be his spokesperson, if you like, on that.
I appreciate that. So then let's talk about then what he continued to do. I understand he was very much anchored on the concept, the reality of black theology, and his leadership extended to community development. I believe that he was also a leader at the Lutheran Church in Soweto, as well as obviously taking positions in Azapa. So I just want to understand how all of that married up until his latter life now. You say he wasn't a politician, he was a community activist, and activists by their nature remain so.
Absolutely. So I think what's interesting about that is, and I think this is just, it attests to the fact that there was never a politician. I mean, so after 94, he literally hung up his clouds and I asked him, and I said, I mean, but why are you not involved in it? And his sense was he's done his bit, and now he's handed over, and then it's time for others to take over. But having said that, I mean, so he continued to fight injustice. So how he became involved in the church was through something that happened, and then he literally formed a breakaway from the Lutheran Church. I mean, he built it, and they went to build a church, and that's a church that's in Zone 2, where we're burying him tomorrow, because he believed what was happening was wrong and it was an injustice. So which is what I'm saying. I mean, he was never about, so power. He was about the fight for what is right and what is just. Eventually, I mean, so the church did form part of the Lutheran Church again. But I mean, the point was made. I mean, for a very long time, they ran it independently within their community. And then beyond that, I mean, he got involved in training and development, and particularly focused on the empowerment of the youth and SMEs. He actually started a consulting business in training and development in that regard, working with Peter Jones. So he was about the empowerment and the upliftment of the black masses through how we think, through the unshackling of the mind, if you like. And he remained true to that, yeah?
Mpho Rachidi, thank you very much for your time, and our condolences to you and your family, and I hope that you continue to celebrate the legacy of your father's life and works. He is the son of Ntate Hlako Rachidi, Mpho Rachidi.